Just waiting. What we got? 1, 2. Aloha, everyone. We're going to reconvene the meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. We're continuing with our Thursday, May 15th, 2025 agenda. We have one more item on our agenda. Our next agenda item and our last agenda item before we go to our community concerns and celebrations and any announcements will be item 2C, which is action item Board of Trustees number 2508. This will be first reading on the approval of a proposed telework policy for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Similar to previous action item, we're going to ask if anyone outside of OHA staff has been signed up to speak on this item. I believe we have one. At that time, we will recognize OHA staff, both in present and online, that would like to provide testimony before reading a motion and placing it on the table for discussion. And probably prior to that, we'll have both Kehau Pu'u, our Chief Operations Officer, Summer Silva, our Board of Trustees Chief of Staff, who were primarily responsible for preparing the and reviewing previous policy done under a different administration, along with Everett Ota, our General Counsel, who was responsible for drafting the action item and how that is structured. And so at this time, Lehua, is anyone signed up to speak from the general public on action item 2508?
Yes, our first speaker is Jermaine Myers.
Aloha, Jermaine.
Aloha, Chair. Am I able to speak on this agenda item?
Jermaine, you are recognized for 5 minutes for item number 2508. Thanks for joining us.
Excellent. Thank you, Chair. Aloha, Chair Kahele, Vice Chair Souza, and Honorable Trustees. My name is Jermaine Myers. Mahalo for the opportunity to testify on action item BOT 25-08, approval of a telework policy for the OHA, first reading. Please forgive me, but I couldn't find critical components in the policy as it's defined. Under number 1, proposed actions, it outlines the following. Approve a telework policy for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs as follows. Telework 3.10.z, the administrator shall develop a telework program that is available for positions with duties that are compatible with regular telework. Not all positions may be appropriate for telework, and telework should only be considered if it is mutually beneficial for OHA, the employee, and OHA's partners and beneficiaries. Telework is not an entitlement or an agency-wide benefit. Each employee must meet eligibility criteria to participate in the telework program, and approval of a request to telework shall be at the sole discretion of OHA. Although this policy definition defines, quote, telework is not an entitlement or an agency-wide benefit, the May 12, 2025 draft of OHA's 2025 telework program guidelines fails to define, number 1, the specific OHA positions appropriate for telework, and number 2, how it is mutually beneficial for OHA, the employee, OHA's partners, and most importantly, the beneficiaries in regards to those positions that are identified appropriate for telework. I look forward to administration's report. Kia kuapu. God bless all of you.
Thank you, Jermaine. Anyone else from the general public sign up to testify on this, Lewa?
No, no one else is signed up to testify on this item from the general public.
Okay, at this time, then the chair would recognize any OHA staff that are in the audience that would like to testify in person.
In person first, we have Kristen.
Hello, Kristen. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Which one? That one? I figure I'm loud enough already, but you know what? Mics always help. Anyhow, thank you for the opportunity to speak on this. I think this is an important benefit to staff, especially myself. So I'm here to express my strong support for the telework as an option that aligns with both employees' well-being and the mission of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. I currently live in Ewa Beach. Though I'm originally from Mililani, I purchased my home on the west side because it's the most affordable. So I am out there every day making this commute. As a result, I now commute about 2 hours per day. That's 10 hours a week, 40 hours a month, and 480 hours a year. That's 12 full work weeks in my car. That's a lot. So I'm tired. I'm tired of traffic. And I've been with OHA for going on 15 years. So that's a lot of driving, a lot of miles I put on here. Anyhow, this daily commute takes a toll physically, mentally, financially, of course, with gas prices, maintenance of cars, so on and so forth. But telework would not only help me reclaim that time, but also to support healthier work-life balance for staff here at OHA, increased focus, and better use of my energy at work. I start my workday at 6:30. I leave at 5:30 in the morning. So I am here bright and early, not necessarily always bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, but I'm here. Let's see. Fortunately, our IT team, yay IT team, has already equipped us with all the tools we need to succeed. They have implemented Microsoft 365 suites and Teams, which we use daily, that can meet and collaborate and work virtually anywhere. And not only anywhere, but even in our office, we meet virtually because we share documents. It's easier to update documents and look at everything than doing it in person sometimes. So we have people in different cubicles and offices still meeting virtually because of the ease of the system that IT has set up for us. So again, thank you to our IT team. OHA, we have a unique kuleana to not just advocate for the needs of our beneficiary, but also to model what we support culturally grounded systems should look like. We should be leading suit on that. That includes how we treat our employees. Many of the challenges our staff faces, high cost of living that was discussed in our salary discussion, long commutes, and need for work-life balance mirror the experiences of our beneficiaries. I know I do not look like it, but I am also a beneficiary. Anyhow, with that said, I think by supporting policy telework, OHA has opportunity to lead by example. We can show what it means to build a workplace rooted in understanding, flexibility, and aloha, one that reflects the very change we advocate for in housing, health, economics, and education, according to our MIMO strategic plan. Telework is not a luxury to me. It's a solution rooted in practicality and productivity. It supports employee health and morale, strengthens retention, which we are deeply in need of. Again, I've been here for a very long time, and it is a revolving door lately. I used to know everyone here. Excuse me. So with telework, it makes room for lived realities of workers who are balancing career, ohana, and the high cost of living. In short, telework is not just a convenience, it's a practical solution that supports our luhui, improves quality of life, and advances OHA's broader goals. So with that said, I think speaking is one thing, but showing is another. And so if you guys are in support in this realm of telework, and if you are so willing and brave, if you guys could please stand to show exactly what we're looking at. Not everyone will speak to this telework policy. Ooh, let me talk. I wanted a visual representation of the impact that this could have on your staff. I don't think speaking is always the best. I think visual really helps. Thank you so much, everyone, for your guys' support. And thank you again for providing the opportunity to speak on this.
Thanks, Kristen.
Our next speaker is Keone.
Keone,
Keone,
is Keone here? Oh, there's Keone.
Oh, the Keones, right?
And speakers, when you do come up, just make sure you state your first name, last name, maybe what PIA you're in, and how long you've been here at OHA.
Absolutely. We have such great orators here at the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. I unfortunately am not one of them, but I'll do my best. Mahalo chairs, mahalo trustees. My name is Keone Oldroyd. I am a legacy land agent and former research analyst. Been with OHA for about 3 years. I was also on the project team that helped develop much of the program that you have before you today. And I'll start with just a personal anecdote. Earlier this year, my wife decided that it was time to make a career change. At the time, she was working as a multimedia designer at an ad agency further in town. We happened to have a multimedia designer position open, and it was open at the time she was looking. And especially as a one-car family, it would have been wonderfully convenient for me if my wife could join me here at OHA. And I know that we would have benefited enormously from her experience. She's got over a decade of experience working for clients on the continent. She worked for PBS Hawaii. She's worked in the private sector. She's even worked on political campaigns. And I'm not just saying this as a loving husband. She's very capable. I'm sorry to say that she did not even consider applying here. And that was really for 2 reasons. First, the position salary was not competitive. It would have simply been too much of a pay cut for our family to afford for her to come here, even understanding that a transition from private sector to public sector can, sometimes that's expected. But the second reason was, and And these things, as employee well-being measures, often go hand in hand, was because she knew, because I'm her husband, that OHA does not have a telework policy. And that's a level of workplace flexibility that she has come to expect of her employers. And so I'm both happy and disappointed to report that she started at CNHA about a month ago, who was able not just to match her salary, but who has a hybrid work program that balances the very real need for face-to-face collaboration with the flexibility and other benefits of telework. And I'm very proud of her service there, but it is, I believe, absolutely a loss for us here at OHA. And so that's admittedly a small and highly biased sample size, but I believe it's illustrative of the disadvantage that we will have competing for talent, even with our sister organizations without a telework program. And so that's the main point I just wanted to share personally. But with my remaining time, I want to acknowledge as a member of the project team that helped with the proposed telework program, that it is not at all about returning to how things were operating before the RTO mandate. The telework of the pandemic era lacked consistent policies. It lacked mechanisms for accountability. It lacked clear guidance for requiring on-site attendance, tools and expectations for fostering company culture and collaboration in a remote and hybrid environment, and standards to mitigate against safety and liability concerns, et cetera, et cetera. And additionally, without a permanent policy, we were missing out on some of the benefits of telework, such as the ability to advertise telework eligible positions to potential employees. And so I just want to share, to allay some of your concerns, that those were all things that our original telework team sought to address, and which I believe we succeed in addressing with the program that you see before you. But even if we didn't, right, the program was written to provide levers that management and the Board of Trustees can pull should we find that the workplace, environment suffers and we need to make adjustments. And so, especially seeing that there are trustees participating in this meeting today remotely, it's such a wonderful capability as an organization with remit over not just Oahu, but all the islands. I urge you to support this program. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Kaimo.
Kaimo. Yay.
Aloha ho Kaimo Milstein, beneficiary services agent, community engagement. I'm in support of teleworking, even though it may not have an impact on my job, but I'm an advocate of this because, boy, when I started back then here at this office, technology back then is not what it is now. So the opportunity to think outside the box for the betterment of the staff people that can work under those types of opportunities. And I've spoken to past people, workers of OHA, that said teleworking is a much healthier environment in the field of their profession. I've talked to people in the communication, Kawaiola, the awesome staff of the past that I've knew from way back. Teleworking was made their job performance, their award-winning performances of this organization was occurring while they were in their telework environment. That gave them the advantage of being awesome workers, award-winning workers for this office. So teleworking should be an option to explore. And yes, Keone, the policies, because of new technology policies, we're just post-COVID. Yeah, the policies need to be retrofitted according to where we are in technology and opportunities. And Malama Aina, the benefits of one less car on the road here on the freeway. We're all stuck on the freeway rushing to get here. There's way out the benefits, far way out, then we're all gathered here. Yeah, we have to come here face to face. Pilina, I don't want to give up Pilina, But teleworking, if it's an advantage to those that can and puts them on to advancing OHA's mission, then holomoa me kela ano. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Kimo. Trustees, I'd also like to say with your Hawaiian registry card application and birth certificate, Kaimo can get your card in about 30 minutes. She's the person to do it. Who's next?
We have Angela Lopes.
Angela Lopes. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Angela.
Okay. Aloha, my name is Angela Lopes. I've been with the Office of Hawaiian Affairs since November 2020, so 5 years. So I'm just going to read what I wrote because I'm super nervous. Okay. Aloha mai kako. I submit this testimony in full support of the proposed telework program outlined under section 3.10.z, which affirms OHA's commitment to modern workforce practices while remaining grounded in its cultural and organizational values. OHA's vision of Ho'oulu Lahui Aloha, to raise a beloved Lahui, calls upon us to uplift and empower our Native Hawaiian people through thoughtful leadership, innovation, and care. Embracing a telework policy aligns with the philosophies of our ali'is, King Kalakaua and Queen Lili'u Okalani, whose visionary leadership blended traditions with adaptation to a changing world. King Kalakaua modernized initiatives like constructing the Iolani Palace, a symbol of Hawaiian ingenuity and royal grandeur, while navigating the complexities of the global stage through diplomatic relations and trade. Queen Liliuokalani was the last monarch of the Hawaiian kingdom who lived a life of leadership committed to serving her people. By supporting telework, we honor that same spirit, integrating forward-thinking solutions while upholding the dignity and well-being of our lahui. This policy reflects our values of ohana, family, mo'omehiu, culture, and aina, land and water, by creating flexible work environments that support employees' wellness, strengthening family life, and reduce the environmental impact of commuting. In doing so, we foster the holistic health of our people, consistent with OHA's mission to improve condition in education, health, housing, and economic stability. While the policy rightfully recognizes that telework is not suitable for every position, it's designed to ensure that implementation is both equitable and strategic, benefiting OHA, our employees, and most importantly, our beneficiaries. The accountability mechanisms such as adherence to existing OHA policies and the administrator's oversight reflect responsible governance while allowing adaptability in a dynamic work environment. Approving this telework program is not merely a matter of operational policy. It is a declaration that OHA remains committed to innovation rooted in aloha and service. Let us continue to raise our lahui by embracing tools that uplift our people, honor their name, and support their ability to serve our communities effectively and compassionately. Mahalo for your consideration.
Mahalo.
Our next speaker is Kevin Chuck.
Kevin. Kevin from IT. Kevin from IT. Kevin, 2 for 2. And this, I love this confidence,
finish
Kevin.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Aloha. My name is Kevin Chak again, and I am the interim IT director at OHA. I'm testifying the action item 25-08, the telework policy. The opportunities for telework for staff have been long awaited, and I believe it will greatly enhance our work environment by allowing staff to telework. we can create efficiency by reducing the stress of the long commutes and family schedule conflicts. I can't speak for everyone, but I could speak for my team a little bit. In the IT team, all my teammates need to drive long distance to come to work, more than 10 miles. And the normal time for them to travel without the traffic could be around 25 to 30 minutes drive. But when we get to the busy hours, the additional time that they spend in the traffic can be 3 times more. Imagine that they can spend those time to their family and their life. It's like impact to the role versus the impact to their life. And I believe this hybrid work environment will increase productivities and, more importantly, build loyalty among employees toward OHA. Should the Board of Trustees vote yes to this telework action item, the infrastructure will now be well established. With that, I'm optimistic that the software side, I use some IT word, but software will soon come into play. To me, the software which represents the engagement and loyalty between employees and OHA, as well as how OHA respects, understand, and appreciate the values of each employee, including the temp hire staff. The temp hire staff have been the great contributors at OHA, and they show the engagement of being the OHA staff at Pouhana. I hope if the opportunities are available from OHA for them, they can get this benefit from OHA. I have been at OHA for 6 years, and in the IT department, we always have the front seat side of staff coming and leaving. I don't know how many times that I get shocked and feel sad that when I see the email in my email box, I see the good employees leave. We just have one today. And for the IT team, there's another one great teammate just left recently. They have many reasons why they want to leave OHA, but I always hope that they have more reasons to stay at OHA. I think focusing on retaining professionals who are already part of the OHA staff, OHANA, no matter if they are permanent or temp hires, is more important than trying to get new people. From a cost-effective perspective, this also means that we OHA don't waste the staff's effort of the hiring process, training, and other team building that invested in the employees. On the employees. Especially these OHA staff and temp hires have been already showing their engagement and loyalty to their team and OHA. Our life in Hawaii is exciting, but not always easy. I believe these new changes for the OHA staff OHANA will provide the reasons to stay and stay longer. Continue to build the engagement and loyalty, starting from OHA, spreading through the native Hawaiian communities and to the entire Hawaii. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Our next speaker is Maki'ile Ishihara.
Maki'ile, good morning.
Okay.
Ile, valued member of our
Aloha.
SNI team.
Aloha nui, kalamai. I'm just getting over a cold, so I just wanted to take some extra precautions for everyone. Owau no maki'ile, no SNI, EDU, no hoi. I'm a glad representative of our newest crew, SNI, and we've been jamming since we hit the front. I do want to say I'm in support of this telework policy. I myself, I'll tell you a little bit about me. I'm a workhorse, born and bred a workhorse. My tutu lady grew up in Waiahole on the taro patch fields, and I'm right alongside with that work ethic. Been at HTY 6-7 day work weeks across the Hawaii Pai Aina all the way to New York City. So that was great. At the state capitol with Representative Lisa Martin, sometimes 6-7 work weeks, more than 12 hours. Since I've landed here in September of last year, I have seen that same work ethic imbued in every single employee here. And likewise to you and your staff, to the board, I have seen that work ethic imbued here. And it is beautiful The pilina I made it a point. My personal challenge is to get to know as many people as possible and to get to know what matters and why they remain here and what the highlights are. There are so many beautiful stories, and I hope you all get to hear them. There's so many highlights, and we're all in this together. Kako apau. Nakalahui, no kalahui, naka Hawaii, no ka Hawaii. We're all here because we believe in this work. And the pilina we share, even to people who might not be working here, we bring them with us and we carry them forward with us everywhere we go. I've seen the overtime pulled here personally. I don't have a complaint because I believe in the work we do. And I would love to see that this policy be more fruitful for everyone here and trusting in that and allowing it to flourish so that they can flourish, so that we can flourish, so that Hawaii can flourish, especially our beneficiaries. As a beneficiary myself, I want this place to be, as many others have echoed before me, the place that Kanaka can turn to look to want to be a part of. Saying how young Kanaka, no matter where they came from, whether they were born here in Alaska, in Europe, they can come here and say, I want to be a part of here. I want to contribute, because that's the real impact that we hope to have as a ohana. And so this is a small step in that way forward. I do have some ideas about certain things in the policy. In terms of the little things, like when they mention the time you have to report in the draft that was provided, to rethink if it's as important to include those minute details than to have it there as a format, as a policy, the formality, and trust that they will be here for you. They will show up and get the work done. At H2I, during our time there, we were working 80-hour work weeks, filming, writing, editing, everything. And we were pushing 6 to 7 days a week. It was almost impossible. And we went to our head, the artistic director, and said, please trust in us. We will do this work because we believe in it. We trust in you to lead us. No, trust in us. And I ask you, I implore you to please look to your workers. We trust in you to lead us, every single one of you. And we ask you to trust in us to get the work done and to do good by that. We are one ohana. We are one lahui. We are one Hawaii. Mahalo.
Hello. Before we go to any testifiers online, and we have a few. Okay, great. Is there anyone else in person that feels so inspired to join us and provide their testimony? Allison. Welcome.
Mahalo. Aloha, trustees. My name is Allison Roney. I'm a procurement agent. I've been with OHA for about 5.5 years. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you for bringing this to the table and for allowing us to come. I was here during COVID, and so did experience telework here at OHA, and very thankful to our IT staff who provided us with the resources to do so. And with those still in place and with us still utilizing them, feel that I'm in full support of it and feel that we can accomplish all of our goals with telework. I also just wanted to point out, I don't know if the policy showed any kind of cost benefit analysis, but I do believe I think Jermaine Meyer spoke previously about what is the benefit to OHA and the beneficiaries. Reducing costs to OHA, I think, is a major benefit to OHA. We would save a lot of money. We would ensure employees' safety. We have employees walking to and from OHA to Dole parking, and it's not always the safest route. I think we have staff providing shuttle services, but that again takes time away from their work. So all of these things I think should be considered when you're making this decision, but I am in full support of this. Thank you so much.
Mahalo, Allison. Anyone else in the audience? Nietzsche. We're trying to change your mind, Nietzsche. Welcome.
Aloha Chair and members of the board. I respectfully urge the board to approve and adopt a permanent telework policy for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. A well-structured telework policy has the power to significantly improve work-life balance for our staff while also delivering measurable benefits to the organization. These include reduced overhead and facility costs, less time lost to commuting, improved productivity and focus, a notable reduction in sick leave usage, and a reduction to environmental impact by reducing traffic, congestion, and pollution to our air quality. Telework is not just a convenience or a benefit, it's a strategic tool that supports employee wellness, efficiency, and operational sustainability. And by adopting this policy, OHA can position itself as a forward-thinking agency committed to both well-being of its workforce and responsible stewardship of public resources. That's what I had drafted to share with you folks today, but all of the incredible testimony and points that were brought forth, I think were just remarkable. Many of the folks that I worked with, I was on the permanent telework policy project. And that was 2 years of time and resources invested into doing our best to develop a telework policy with the circumstances that we had, the information that we had during COVID. We did that during COVID. And it's not just, this cost benefit analysis, which is there, but the valuing the well-being of our staff and what they can bring forth when you have happy and healthy employees, and the quality of the work and the commitment to the work that they can bring forth is critical. So I just wanted to impart that to you folks. These benefits are recognized by other state, city entities here in Hawaii and in the private industry. Why not OHA, right? So mahalo for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Nichi. Anyone else? Okay, who's online?
We will now call on Kaveni.
Kaveni Ibarra. So glad Kaveni joined us. For all of us who don't know Kaveni, he's in our Hilo office. He lives in Pouhana, commutes about an hour, 20 minutes every single day, one way between Pouhana and Hilo. So thank you so much, Kaveni, for joining us. You're
Thank you,
recognized.
Chair. Aloha kakayaka. My name is Kaveni Ibarra. Mahalo to the board, mahalo to the admin for opportunity to speak here today. I want to first start off by saying I'm really grateful for the opportunity to work out of our OHA Hilo office. But at the same time, like Chair said, I do drive in from Ka'u every day, which is over 100 miles. And to put that into perspective, I cover more mileage daily than it would take to drive around the island of Oahu. I support this proposal for a telework policy for the following reasons. The first is that it allows employees like me who live in remote rural areas a chance to be more accessible to the community. And I would argue that communities like mine are often underrepresented and underserved, so it helps to give them that extra attention. And second, I think that this offers a creative solution to some of the issues we face here at OHA with understaffing. And is also in line with what I saw in the state's telework objectives, which included things like improving program effectiveness and morale, improving recruitment and retention, reducing office space requirements, reducing traffic congestion, promoting continuity during disaster recovery, which we're pretty familiar with here in Hawaii. And finally, I think this positions us to continue using the full capacity of the technology available to us. And I hope it continues to open doors for how we serve our beneficiaries. But that's all. Mahalo no keia manawa. Oiwale no.
Mahalo, Kaveni.
Our next speaker is Laurie Walker.
Laurie, also from our Hilo office. Aloha, Laurie.
Aloha, kakou.
You're recognized.
Mahalo, mahalo chair, aloha nui to all of the trustees, ka Pouhana. Super grateful for this space for all of us to be able to testify, both on the previous action item and this one. I would be remiss if I didn't support in testify in support of this action item today. Admittedly on my own behalf, but more so on the behalf of my team and my fellow employees. The ones who I witnessed alongside me pivot on a dime to transfer all of their workstations and productivity to their homes when COVID hit 5 years ago, and who continue to this day to pivot at the drop of a hat when physical office conditions require. On behalf of the ones who are wearing multiple hats, covering for multiple vacancies and resource shortages and navigating deficiencies across the agency, so much so they don't even have time to advocate for themselves. On behalf of the ones who carried the torch and burned the midnight oil to prepare this policy in service of us all, mahalo to Keone and Keith and Michi and everyone else for your commitment to this effort. I am also testifying on behalf of this organization and on behalf of the work that we are charged with, and genuinely and ultimately on behalf of our beneficiaries who we owe it to ensure the working conditions of the ones who serve them are optimized so we can serve them better. While I can also testify to the increase in productivity that the organization benefited from when we shifted our work to exclusively working from home, I accept this wasn't necessarily true in all cases. As a supervisor, I understand the extra complexity of tracking my team and ensuring productivity. It's my least favorite part of this job. But if I know that my team can perform better in a world where our interactions have evolved technologically, but the architectural and spatial needs have not been met, I wholeheartedly accept this kuleana. And as issues inevitably arise, I fully expect to be informed of and held accountable for any missteps of those I'm responsible for. And I accept full responsibility for addressing performance improvement. I also fully expect the procedures to be amended as needed. I did not choose to testify for the previous action item because one, my sentiments were well represented, especially as articulated by Keith Gutierrez and Kahelelani Kiavekane. And two, I cannot overstate the reprieve that flexibility in where I carry the incredible load I am personally responsible for affords me. Reprieve that significantly increases the value of my contribution to this organization and our beneficiaries, and that doesn't require me to compromise my own declining well-being. Reprieve that a salary increase alone simply cannot offer me. Reprieve that allows me to model a more balanced and healthy work ethic to my team, who every single one of them has accepted a decrease in salary to accept these positions in dedication to our important work. And as a result of the return to office mandate, have also accepted a decrease in quality of life. While this may not directly impact every individual position, the decision to support our employees in general will have immeasurable benefits to the waning morale of our organization. With aloha and humility, I urge this board to continue in the spirit of collaborative leadership with our administration as demonstrated in the unanimous approval of the previous action item and approve of this action item. Mahalo.
Thanks, Lori.
Our next speaker is Ahia Dai.
Ahia. Aloha, Ahia.
Hui. Aloha kako.
Ahia.
Aloha e ka ohana.
Aloha.
Just a quick testimony in support of telework. I'm better able to serve the granting needs of our organizations, better able to adjust for our grantees' needs by offsetting that travel cost. I'd like to be spoiled and ask for an office still in office as well as a telework policy, because having a home base in the office is very convenient as well. But the ability to go home and work from home means that I can, just with a few steps, be right there to complete my duties. And as you know, the grants department is a little shorthanded, and we're so grateful for all of the administrative and your support in catching us up with that work. But please just know we can do even more. I can do more with the telework policy. Thank you so much, gang. Aloha.
Thanks, Ahil.
Our next speaker is Ardina.
Ardina, you are recognized.
Aloha mai kākou. Can you folks hear me? Okay. O Ardina Saranen, wau inoa, o ka uhana aho kua hui malama halava luluku. Mahalo Chair Kahele and mahalo trustees for providing us all an opportunity to speak to you today. I've been a full-time employee with OHA for almost 6 years, and previously I was a student intern at OHA on Hawaii Island for Waukelia Opuna for nearly 4 years. I'm here to voice my support of adopting and enacting an employee telework policy. Mahalo for listening to our ohana. Our mana'o shares all of the important issues which deeply affect each and every one of us. We all continue to struggle with the high cost of living here in Hawaii. This cost includes our time. It also includes our well-being. This cost can be partially mitigated with enacting a telework policy. It's a great start for OHA, but the work must continue. The mana'o shared by my colleagues today must be taken seriously and acted upon. If OHA is truly to become an employer of choice for the best and brightest, and to keep those who are most dedicated to making our lahui all that it should be, and without them sacrificing more than they should. I see this policy as also being in support of decolonization of the minds of all those who vote to make a choice for us. On behalf of the Kapuna, whose culture was erased, decolonization of the workplace, whose culture we are forced to embrace, and most importantly, decolonization of our future as ohana. This is what we need to embody mana I maoli ola. Mahalo.
Hello, Ardina. We have 3 more online, but we're not sure if they would like to make a comment. So, ke aloha.
Kealoha, did you want to speak on this action item? Or Jason?
Ke aloha,
Or Edna.
Jason, or Edna.
Oh, sorry, I'm on. This is Kealoha.
Yep.
Sorry, trying to. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, mahalo. Mahalo for giving us this opportunity to testify before you and bringing this up. It's very important. I wanted to say that Hawaii Island is called Big Island because it's big. It would make a big difference for those of us like Kaveni who have to drive far. I drive far and have to be in traffic, even though I start very early in the morning to help avoid it. From an environmental standpoint, absolutely reducing our footprint is a good thing. I feel like it would be a show of OHA's progressiveness to take into account not only our environmental footprint, our flexibility, and the health and well-being of our employees. You know, the first time we had to do that, when we changed our working situation to in-person in office. It was challenging for me. At that time, I was the federal liaison or federal public policy advocate. And prior to the closure of the Washington Bureau and therefore my position there, we often had meetings that were scheduled on Washington time. So at 3:30 in the morning. So it was very extreme for me to have to consider how do I negotiate that from an office. Yeah. Whereas I could just jump on from home and do it. And I had been doing that level of work since I began at OHA about 4.5 years ago. So I'm very much in support of teleworking on behalf of my coworkers as well. And I just think it helps OHA all around because it gives us flexibility that allows our productivity to really flourish as opposed to being structured. And I cackle everything that everybody previously said, including the decolonization. I really appreciate Sister saying that because we need to decolonize our minds and the way we work also. And yeah, that's my testimony. I think Kamaile is it. We share the office in Hilo.
Thank you.
So do you want to go?
Is anybody else yet? Are you done?
Yeah, and Kamaile can come over here too if you don't mind.
Sure,
Since
yeah. Thanks, Kilo, for your testimony. If Kamaile's there, we're happy to recognize her as well. Aloha, Kamaile. Can you hear us,
Aloha.
Kamaile? Okay,
Yes.
aloha.
Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay. Aloha, Trustee Kahele and Vice Chair Souza and Trustee of the Board. My name is Kamaile Pulu'ole Mitchell. I'm with Advocacy. I just want to say mahalo for the opportunity to come and speak on regarding the item 25-08 for telework policy and the potential impact on our organization and our workforce. I also want to mahalo everyone who helped to put the telework program guidelines document together. I appreciate everyone's mana'o and my coworkers who came before me to testify. As a legacy employee that resides on Hawaii Island, teleworking has proven to be invaluable to ensure my productivity and the operational efficiency of OHA. Based on my experience, I would like to highlight a few key points on the flexible telework policy that should be prioritized. Number one is higher productivity and focus. So the ability to work remotely during the relocation of the Hilo office and throughout the pandemic allowed me to continue to be employed and work more efficiently with beneficiaries. It proved that with less commute time, employees were able to manage their time effectively. Number two, employee retention and engagement. The flexible work policy, telework policy, attracts and is an incentive for future employments, especially to attract top talent. And in today's competitive job market, offering telework options helps to retain employees who might otherwise seek employment with organizations that are more flexible. With majority of OHA's positions being based on Oahu, there is a limited opportunity for career advancement for outer island employees, and telework policy could provide employment opportunities for those across Pouhana as possibly beyond Hawaii. Number three, the cost of savings and for the organizations. I believe that employees who work remotely could reduce the overhead costs, such as the office space, utilities, and transportation. With the recent closing of our West Hawaii OHA office, telework would provide an option for a full-time place-based OHA employee to better serve West Hawaii. This would allow for a flexibility for the employee to still physically engage in community across the large and dispersed landscape of West Hawaii. And like Kealoha had said, Hawaii Island is a big island, so West Hawaii is very dispersed in the landscape. And I think that still allows somebody to be there full-time, place-based, but allow that flexibility for them to work anywhere. Um, also, with that cost of savings, it could better serve beneficiaries and beneficiary programs. Another point I'd like to bring up is our work-life balance. The option to telework employees and flexibility allows us to be more effective and also healthier employees and work-life balance, reducing like burnout and leading to more happiness, engaging, energized workforce ready to serve Lahui. Our environmental impacts. I believe that teleworking reduces the carbon footprint and cuts down on commuting time. Number 6, technology and communication tools. Hawaii Island public policy advocate. Having the option to join off-island meetings and testify virtually allows me the opportunity to do my job efficiently and effectively. And saving on the cost of office space can actually reallocate that money and initiatives for other things, such as beneficiary services and other software and platforms to ensure that we can communicate effectively. Flexibility during this emergency times is another benefit. You know, during the COVID-19 pandemic, it really highlighted the importance of having a telework policy in place to ensure business continuity during this crisis. With a flexible telework policy, we're still able to connect with our communities and provide uninterrupted services. And during these challenging times, East Hawaii office provided numerous virtual workshops for community, along with partnering up with our other organizations to provide these care packages to communities through our OHA Kaya Ulu Meals program. So these examples really spotlight the success of telework and our ability to quickly adapt to the unforeseen circumstances. So I just believe, mahalo. I had more, but yes, mahalo for the time and consideration, and mahalo everyone for working on this. Aloha.
Mahalo. Okay. I think we've heard from everyone online. Last chance, anyone in the room? Okay, yes, please come up. Welcome.
Okay, aloha. I'm good. Aloha. My name is Chantal Balai. I'm with the S&I division. And I just wanted to share a little bit of my experience here at OHA. I previously worked at OHA from 2003 to 2010. And technology, as someone mentioned, drastically has improved since then. When I considered returning to OHA in 2012, part of my decision to not return was the commute. Born and raised on the west side of Oahu, super long commute, very young daughter, so it wasn't the best situation for us. When I did return in September 22, we were teleworking, and I returned to OHA as a grants officer. And you heard from some of the grants team today. I was trained completely online with the support of Edna and the team. We were very responsive to our grantees. Oftentimes our calls are after hours because our grantees are working, they're in the fields, they're in schools, so we take the late night calls with them. I think it did not, it didn't hurt our work. We were very productive at that time. I later transferred and became the public policy manager. We returned to work. We had 3 public policy advocates on Hawaii Island. Their contribute to our team was immense. You heard from Kealoha and Kamaile just now. Our advocates testified regularly in support of our bill package online. So they were always accessible. Their work was outstanding. And in addition, our Oahu advocates constantly at the Capitol, always in communication, always able to produce work. So I feel that with the mechanisms in place, I think the flexibility, especially for positions that deal with our community, positions that perhaps are not locked in to that 8 to 5 timeframe. We want to be really responsive to our grantees and to other requests from community, and I really support this policy in place. Thank you.
Mahalo. Anyone else? Okay, Pouhana. Sure.
Aloha board. My name is Matthew Kahopi, and I'm here to support everyone is our ohana. No matter which way you look at it, what races, we still want ohana. And I would like to call up Auntie Jenny and Shoshana that went with me to Ireland to make a treaty of peace. I need to support OHA and the knowledge that.
Excuse me, sir.
Don't
Hey,
understand.
hold on. We're
Understand.
not talking about anything else but the telework policy at this
Yeah,
time.
and the pay raise.
No,
And
the
I'm
pay
here
raise is
to
done.
raise the
So
pay raise.
just the telework policy, please.
Okay, I'm
Your-
sorry.
Your comments
Thank
have to be only to the telework policy or nothing else.
Okay,
You can save them for community concerns later,
thank you.
but not right now.
Okay, mahalo.
Thank you.
Thank you with all respect.
Pouhana, few minutes.
Mahalo, Chair.
I'm sorry. Okay, come on up. Yes.
Yes, Arlene, yes.
Okay, aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. Oh my God, I'm so nervous. I'm here to respectfully ask for your support in voting yes to allow our staff to option to telework. For me personally, telework has made a significant positive impact. I live far from the office. I live in Makakilo. So driving in traffic can take 2 hours or more depending if there's accidents. This not only affects my time, but also adds to my financial strain, especially with today's high gas prices. As someone who works in IT, I've seen firsthand that telework can be done successfully during the COVID-19 pandemic. Our team was able to quickly and effectively set up our staff to work from home. We've already proven that we had the tools and capability to support remote work, and I'm confident we can continue to do so. Telework also allows me to stay on top of household responsibilities, and most importantly, spend more quality time with my ohana, especially with my 3-year-old toddler who still needs a lot of my attention. The flexibility allows me to be present both as a dedicated employee and as a mom. In the bigger picture, offering telework can help us as an organization. It makes us more attractive to potential employees and can help reduce the number of vacancies we're experiencing. I truly believe that telework creates a win-win situation for our staff, our families, and company as a whole. Mahalo for your time and consideration.
Mahalo. Is Jason online? We have a Jason online?
Okay, Jason.
Aloha, Jason, are you online? Jason from our communications team, where's he at?
I'm right here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you loud and clear, Jason. Go
I
ahead.
guess my camera was turned on when I was watching, but as a panelist, I don't see myself. Anyhow, I kako what everyone is saying. Definitely support this telework policy. I'd like to speak briefly, maybe on behalf of those who have mobility issues. Many people know I've had 3 knee surgeries. I thought I needed a 4th. My surgeon recommended Uflexa shots every 6 months. However, despite all that, I see you, Chair, and Trustee Souza. Send me to Mary Monarch. I'll march in the parade. I'll march in Onipa'akako. I'll march from Mauna Ala to Iolani Palace. I was just at the BLNR Pohakuloa EIS hearing. I never say no. I want to go to do these things. What I'm asking is, another part of my job is just editing the website, editing photos, editing videos. All I need is my computer for that. I can do that at home. What I'm asking is that please allow me to do those things at home so that 10 years from now, I can go to Mary Monarch. 10 years from now, I can still march in Onipa'akako. I worry about the strain on my knee and how, like Kai Markel, our beloved fellow employee, health impacts our ability to do our job as photographers and videographers. So I'm asking for some flexibility. I did not qualify for a medical accommodation. I'm not sure why. I did try, basically I had to go back to my surgeon and get him to rewrite the note like 3 times, and it still wasn't approved. But I'm kind of okay with that, because when I was put on a temporary medical accommodation, they wouldn't let me do anything. They wouldn't let me go to Merrimark. I missed FestPack. I had to go to FestPack on my own. I was looking forward to being like front and center at FestPack, taking pictures. And I only got to go to a couple events. I went on my own. But yeah, you know, I love working for this organization, just asking for some flexibility. I feel like the trust is there, that you guys trust that we know how to do our jobs best. And if it's doing it at home or doing it in the office, we also like coming into the office. I like seeing everyone, but when you require us to come in 5 days a week, 8 hours a year, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, that becomes hard. It becomes hard for us. And the commuting, I wish some other people on my team would speak. As far as print week, everyone knows print week. It's all hands on deck, and everyone's faces are just buried into their computer. There's no need for us to get dressed and to sit in traffic for 2 hours a day just to do the work that we can do from home, especially during times like print week. When it's not print week, we like coming in and seeing each other. So no one is asking for complete work from home. You know, we understand we need to be at the office at times. We're just asking for some flexibility and continued trust. And I think that's it. Mahalo for the opportunity.
Stacy.
Mahalo, Chair. And mahalo to everybody who came forward to share your mana'o on this extremely important initiative before our board. You know, I want to thank the working group who put the guardrails and the safeguards together. Again, a very complex issue that required a lot of good thinking, not just to ensure that, you know, we could have our folks work productively from home, but really to safeguard this agency and the trust resources. Because that is just as important, right? It's always finding that balance. And I think that the working group did a phenomenal job of striking that balance. So mahalo for doing that work. Thank you for Summer and Kehal for coming in on the back end and helping with the refresh so that the board has a very recent and refreshed document to consider. And then I'm also going to say that, you know, mahalo to Maki'ile, Jason, you just alluded to it too, that we can have safeguards and we can have guardrails, but at the end of the day, it's our OHA values that are going to drive how we operate in this organization, right? Policies and procedures did not always get us to compliance. Procedures and processes do not always give us excellence, but it's the values in which we employ, right, that are part of our Lavena, right, that is going to ensure that the work is not just going to get done, but be done with excellence. Because you come here, you choose to come to work, regardless if it's going to be in your living room or here at Nalama or in any of our neighbor island offices. It's your commitment to Lahui, first and foremost, and in the center of everything you choose to do is what's going to make what we do and how we utilize those hours every day done in a pono way. And I don't want to fool any of us in this room to think that we're not already teleworking, because I know for a fact that, you know, myself, along with many of us across our organizations, are teleworking starting at 5 o'clock in the morning on texts, on phone calls, on Teams. This happens 5 o'clock in the morning, it happens at 10 o'clock at night, and it's also happening on the weekends. So the fact that we are formalizing this, that's what organizations need to do. But I don't want to dismiss the good work that is already happening via distance. So mahalo in advance, trustees, for taking this important issue before you. I'm grateful. And I will leave with this, because one of the other things that I heard in both testimonies for these agenda items was culture. And I think the fact that we are discussing both telework and compensation adds to the work culture that we want to see here. But superseding that is the ability of our board and the administration to work together on important issues like this that affect our staff, which at the end of the day is going to affect how we serve. And that's why we're all here. So I mahalo the board, not easy issues, heavy issues, complex issues, but we're doing it together. And we're doing it because we believe it's the right thing to do for our teams. So mahalo.
Mahalo Kapuana. So at this time, I'm going to recognize the Vice Chair, Souza, to read the action item. If we have a trustee that will second that, then we can place it on the table.
Mahalo, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I would like to move to approve a telework policy for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs as follows. Telework.
All right, we have a second from Trustee Kina. At this time, I'd like to bring up Everett Ota, our General Counsel, as well as Kehao and Summer, who are directly responsible for preparing the policy. And I think the first thing I'd like to do, just for context for our trustees before we have discussion, is for Everett to explain how the action item was drafted. It will require 2 readings, so this is not the last time we will see this. But he can explain the strategy towards potential adoption by the board. So Everett, how about you go first?
Yes, thank you, Chair, and good morning again, trustees. The policy or the action item before you at this time is the approval of a telework policy for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. So this policy is set forth in section 1 of the action item, and that's, it's set out in the language I think that earlier testifier had cited to. But that's for the purpose of adopting a policy that directs the administrator to carry out the direction, right, the policy direction set by this board. And that policy is set forth again, as it would be incorporated into the executive policy manual. In addition, this action item contains what are proposed guidelines for this telework program. And then Kehao and Summer will be going into further details and be able to answer the board's questions regarding those guidelines as they're constructed at the time. But I think the approach here is to allow the administration to move forward in the policy direction set by this board, that there is to be a telework policy that OHA stands up through the administrator, and the administrator is then empowered to modify that plan, right, based on the implementation and any adjustments need to be made, rather than having this full set of guidelines adopted by this board and then subject to change through this same process, right, which is less nimble and available for adjustments as we roll out this new policy. So that's the approach. It does, again, put this into the executive policy manual, but then further directs the administrator towards implementation.
Yes, so just to clarify, trustees, the action item, if the board were to move past first reading today, is to authorize the administration to implement and I guess could potentially further tweak and refine the proposed telework policy plan, so that the 18-page document that you have also attached to the action item, we are not actually voting to adopt that as an instrument, because that potentially will need some refining. In addition, if adopted, the policy, like Everett just said, would be included and folded into the executive policy manual. It would be included in our employee handbook. All documents that we need to update very, very quickly and soon, hopefully through the course of the next few months. Everett.
Thank you, Chair. And excuse me, I forgot to mention a couple of other components to this policy. So one, I think, this policy would supersede the board's prior action taken regarding the return to office directive effective as of July 1st, 2023. And that history is covered in summary in the action item. The other thing that this policy does is it provides for a review period from the board. So there is some level of
reporting back to the board as to the policy, I'm sorry, the telework program's implementation. So the board continues to have, some oversight, and those concerns that might have led to the initial return to office directive still being subject to board review and potential change, as the policymakers for the organization. Thank you.
So before I hand it off to Summer and Kehao, trustees, just for context, COVID changed the life of everybody in Hawaii that overnight needed to take their duties to their homes and work out of home for at least several years. That initiated the state of Hawaii to develop an overarching telework policy in 2023. It gave the latitude and the flexibility to every department in the state to develop their own unique telework policy. And as such, under previous leadership, the telework task force committee was formed, which I guess lasted almost 2 years, to develop a unique policy for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs based off some of the best practices that the state telework policy exists. So departments across the state of Hawaii have their own unique telework policies. And there are many, many state employees every day throughout this state that telework. What I asked Kehao and Summer to do, working together with Everett, was to take that work from the telework board and that kind of task force advisory group that developed the policy and review it, bring it up to 2025 standards, dust it off, see if there was anything that should have been incorporated or modified. And so that's what they did. And so both Summer and Kehao worked together for about a month to produce the document you have today that outlines, I would say, 99% of what our policy would be here at OHA if implemented, with maybe a few minor little adjustments that we can talk about and we can incorporate. And we've heard some suggestions from our OHA staff about that. So I guess at this point, because I think it is important for Summer or Kehao to lay the groundwork for the work they did and or the policy that is presented before the board, and then we can have a robust discussion on the table before deciding to or not to take action. So Kehao, you and Summer?
Yes, I'm gonna go first. So mahalo for this opportunity to share what we're calling the telework program guidelines. And first I want to acknowledge and mahalo the work of the project team that you talked about. They had been working long and hard on this and got close to implementation, and then that work stopped. But I do want to acknowledge Keith, Kristen, Keone, Arlene, Lori, and Nichi, and Kalamai, if I'm missing anybody, who are all part of this work. And Wanui Kahana, they did a lot of work. So yes, we didn't have to start from scratch. Thank you. Mahalo to all you guys for that. This team did put together a very well developed guidelines, as Chair has already shared, that closely follows or mimics the existing State of Hawaii telework policy or program. But in addition to that, so Summer and I use the current State of Hawaii telework program policy. So we looked at that. University of Hawaii also has a very well outlined telework program. We also took a look at the federal government's Office of Personnel Management, because they have broad, well, despite what's happening at the federal level right now, but they also have, broad, I guess, guidelines for telework. And I think we even took a look at the USDA, like a specific federal department, just to see, again, and compare at how others across Hawaii and the continent are approaching telework. So I'm just gonna maybe highlight, because you folks have it in front of you, the guidelines, and maybe just highlight a few things. First of all, so we had to call this program guidelines because Everett School does that. The policy is what you folks are voting on today, but the guidelines is how we'll operationalize this policy to put a telework program together for the agency. We are likely going to consolidate this with SOPs. So it'll be SOPs and guidelines. We want to keep things simple, have a one-stop shop for everything telework. And so that is, some of the tweaking that we need to do. So I just wanted to share that. So real quick, so we have some definitions that we have put together. Well, actually, the group put together. We made some tweaks. But just to provide clarity, right, for what we're talking about throughout the document, one thing I do want to call out is supervisor is defined within the document as a trustee, any executive level employee, and a PIA director. And this is so that we can capture all of those who sit in supervisory positions, because this policy, right, and this program would apply both for the administrative side as well as the BOT side. So that is, we did that intentionally. Also under eligibility and participation, this policy would allow for both regular or temporary, exempt or non-exempt employees. Part of the eligibility criteria includes having already you must already be demonstrating satisfactory work performance. And that would be noted via your most current performance review. So the timing is good too, right? As we're gonna kick off performance management. And so, one of the things Summer and I discussed is that we don't need an evaluation for telework outside of what is gonna be performance evaluation. They should all, it should be one and the same. Want to add anything to that? Okay. So I'm just calling that out, some of the, eligibility provisions, as was shared. So it is, we are, position eligibility will be determined by our HR director and supervisor, because there may be some positions that aren't necessarily appropriate for telework. One thing I maybe should have started with, so it is a hybrid telework program that we are proposing that would allow for up to 3 days of telework, 1 to 3 days. That could also accommodate maybe some positions where they need to be on site more than off site. But we're hoping that, that can address some of that. And 2 days at the central work site. We're also considering having one of those 2 days be a day where everybody's here, so that you can have your meetings, your face-to-face, and have opportunities to collaborate, build pilina. So that is a consideration as we tweak this program or these guidelines. Schedules would be same as current, work schedules. So if you are on a flex schedule, that would still apply, or the 7:45 to 4:30. Staff would still need to incorporate your lunch and your breaks. And any overtime must be approved. So while we may tend to work more at home, any overtime would still have to be approved. So it's, operating the way we would here, except that, you're just at a different alternate work site. A couple of things I will call out is utility costs and internet. So we're proposing that OHA would not cover those costs. We would cover IT equipment. And so Kevin has put together what we would call the telework package for staff who do qualify and will participate in this program. And it's less than $400 per staff person. So I think it's a very reasonable price. Sorry, anything else? Again, the remote work site would be an extension of our OHA work site. So staff would still be covered by workers' compensation if anything were to happen. So that being said, part of the request for staff who want to participate in this program would be doing an assessment, a safety assessment of your remote work site, your home, which is what I assume it would be, and that would be part of the request form. if approved by this board, we would definitely roll out with some training. We want to get our guidelines finalized. I talked to a couple of the former team members just to help be one more layer of review, and then some agreement forms. So the agreement forms, which again, this team worked on, so it would be a matter of tweaking, would include, again, a request form inclusive of a safety assessment form, as well as an agreement. And then we wouldn't create a separate evaluation just for telework, because that should just be part of performance evaluation. I'm gonna ask Summer to jump in and cover anything I missed. Oh, but I will say, this does need to go to review, so we've put this together. The tweaks, we've made some revisions. The first group did already have consultation, so what they had put together was reviewed by ESNA. But with the revisions that we've made, that's something else that we have to do, is finalize and send for review by our labor attorneys. Let's see if Summer has anything to add.
That was a really comprehensive. The only other addition I'd make is that we were trying to be very proactive and affirmative in being as responsive as possible to the things that might have made work, telework and remote work practices implementable sooner. And I think that goes to a feeling of like lack of confidence in the system, some trust issues around really being held accountable for productivity. And so that's why this particular initiative is tied and integrated with performance management review. And I think it's important also to underscore that we need not conflate what is a policy intended to adapt to, you know, a working environment that is changing, with our responsibility to be managers who hold accountable the people to whom report to us, right? Like those things don't get solved by having or not having a telework policy. The administration is committed to introducing more management training, to holding managers more accountable for daily oversight, for, you know, encouraging in their own staff, the people that they supervise, the kind of work ethic and the kind of productivity and the kind of peer behavior we expect, and what I think very truly our beneficiaries expect and entrust to us. And so try not to make this policy an issue about that this policy is separate from that. And if we do need to address management and accountability and training, that we are doing that in a comprehensive way separately. But the two things coming together will help to make for a more productive work environment. And the other reason for, and just really touching upon it quickly, for determining that we were not going to encompass and look to the budget to find ways to address all of the internet and other technological accommodations, was because this telework policy is also a complement to the salary increase policy, right? So we are lifting wages so people can access the kinds of resources that they need for themselves and for their families. And hopefully that too addresses some of these other cost considerations. So those are the only two additional points, but happy to answer questions.
Thanks, Summer. Before we move forward, I'm going to just make sure our Vice Chair Souza will read the action item motion into the record, and then we'll go to discussion.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to clarify that the motion made earlier and seconded by Trustee Aquina also does include Section 310Z. The administrator shall develop a telework program that is available for positions with duties that are compatible with regular telework. Not all positions may be appropriate for telework, and telework should only be considered if it is mutually beneficial for OHA, the employee, and OHA's partners and beneficiaries. Telework is not an entitlement or an agency-wide benefit. Each employee must meet eligibility criteria to participate in the telework program, and approval of a request to telework shall be at the sole discretion of OHA. Teleworking employees must continue to abide by all OHA policies and procedures, including, but not limited to, confidentiality of information, use of equipment and IT systems, ethics, performance, general travel, standards of conduct, communication, records management, work rules and discipline, payroll, work schedules, leaves of absence, and health and safety policies. Also, any change to the telework program should require the approval of the administrator. The administrator shall provide the Board of Trustees with an annual update on the telework program. And the Board of Trustees reserve the right to modify, suspend, or discontinue the telework program at any time, should it no longer serve the best interests of the organization. Mahalo, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Trustees, discussion. Trustee Galatera.
I'll start. Yeah. Thank you. This is an incredible amount of work. I mean, this is a big deal when you're trying to, bring major policy that is already there, by the way. So, my question would have had to do with what model we were replicating in terms of whether it was a governmental model, a private sector model, or a combination thereof. Right? But you folks have allayed all of my questions by your presentation. I guess my and this is probably off the mark, but because we are a indigenous organization, is there anything that replicates that perspective? Or is this just a global technical way to do business? Is there a way that we can imbibe our native concepts into this, even if it's, what is the Hawaiian word for telework? Okay, where's halama? Oh, we don't know, but we don't know that. No, but I mean, it's those are simple concepts, but I'm wondering if there's some indigenous people out there, some others, Alaskans, Native Americans who do this type of work, who have somehow brought their culture into the ethos of this. I'm putting that out there. This is kind of way out there in space, right? But I would like to visit that if possible. Why are you laughing at me?
No, I was just, I would, you always bring fun to the work. I appreciate that. But I was going to say, and I'm not an expert, and I wish Hailama was here, but I think we got a lot of folks that are to our culture. But my understanding is that, as Hawaiians, we knew when to work, and our circumstances and the environment determined when that happened. So it wasn't a 8 to 5 kind of, schedule. It was when the circumstances required us to be working, we worked. And but that's not to say, again, that we don't have business to handle, and our doors need to be open because we are a government agency, right? But I think culturally, as people, I think we understand that the work needs to get done, and it's going to get done.
Yeah, just follow up.
Yes.
I think we can lead the way. I mean, if you can't, being Hawaiian in Hawaii is really a good thing. And so if we would even come up with the terms of what we refer to in this exercise, and, we're able to understand that perspective. It's kind of a low bar, but I just wanted to put that in, because if you say you use the canoe as a metaphor, it's a 24/7 gig. And so this being the same, I guess, I'm not searching for anything. I just kind of wanted to make sure that we look at the perspective.
I have a thought. So we could, unuhi some of these terms, but maybe, I appreciate your comment because it's very technical, right? It's guidelines, it's an SOP, but perhaps we should be grounding it in our values, right? And so aloha, laulima, all of those things, and how that maybe frames this program and what it and can definitely, speak to everything that was shared today by our staff and what we're trying to promote and be, as an organization. So I mahalo you for that. I think that's good. And we gotta be reminded, we want to be a Hawaiian organization. We gotta model that. Yeah.
I mean, I think, before recognizing Trustee Ahuna, what we're kind of straddling is this Western concept. And how do we incorporate it into the Hawaiian worldview, the Hawaiian way of thinking? We might create a new word. We gotta reach out to maybe Larry Kimura and Olelo Hawaii experts. Maybe that's a unique process that we can implement into this. Okay, Trustee Ahuna.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to mention some things first. First of all, I wanted to thank you and your staff and the chair of these committees who's out there doing the work, the administrative staff. I mean, for me, the part that I love the most about today was listening to our staff, and those are the people that I'm committed to, is our employees, and it was great to hear from them. I am very much in support of this, of course. This is really, for me, this is Hawaiian. You know, at our charter schools, we have project-based learning. See, our classroom cannot only occur in the classroom, it occurs outside of the classroom. You know, our businesses don't just occur within one spot, it occurs in all different areas. And to be in those areas is a place that we can all make progress. So for me, allowing our staff to be, you know, to make different decisions on how they accomplish the work is just something that we have to move into as an organization. You know, there's a lot of things moving through our corridor. AI is one of them. You know, one day we're gonna have to be learning all about AI and how we use AI, and kids are starting to have to learn all these new ways of learning. So what I'm trying to say is I appreciate this, because in all my years here, we never went to like different payas and listened to what they had to say, and for me that's the start of you know, the work that it's gonna bring out. So thank you, Chair, thank you, administration staff, but I appreciate this and I'm very much in support of this, and I think teleworking is a great thing. So mahalo.
Mahalo, Trustee. Other trustees? Trustee Aquino?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Chair Souza and fellow trustees and staff who worked on the committee to put together a great proposal. And today was probably my favorite board meeting in the 9 years that I've had the privilege of serving as a trustee. And it was probably because for the first time in a board meeting, we could hear the hearts and minds of our people here at OHA. We're all dedicated to our beneficiaries. We serve the public. We work with leaders outside of OHA. But today was Ohana, and I want to say mahalo. We saw that we can trust you. You are more than trustworthy. We saw that you look to us to support you and to empower you to do the thing that is on your heart, which is to work for the betterment of the Native Hawaiian people. And if we've not always been there for our team, we are getting better at this. One of the things that you shared today, I'm addressing those of you who are on staff, is that you wanted to serve the great mission, what we now call Mana I Mauliola of OHA, with all your heart, mind, and soul, and do so in a way that was most efficient and most convenient, and just worked better for everyone. We call that telework. I'm sorry that we had to hear you again, because we may not have listened as carefully as we could have. Many of you who spoke today had actually spoken to us before. And some of you were involved in a 2-year-long project to come up with guidelines. Today was not just about a process. It really wasn't about telework. It wasn't about any more than it was about cell phones or photocopiers or other means and tools of doing our work. much more, today was about all of us coming together and working in our proper roles and lanes. On June 1st, 2023, our board overrode the CEO at that time and the administration who came and pled with us at the board not to prohibit telework. That was a very, in my opinion, heavy-handed action on the part of the board to override the administration and the staff. As a result, many people were hurt. The new CEO came in with the immediate directive to implement this policy. What I was concerned about at that time is that we were not showing that we trusted the administration and the staff, that we were actually tying the hands of the very people who do the work of OHA. And so I'm very proud today of what our board has done, or will do when we vote. I'm very proud that we're going to work together, and I hope that this will also help us to establish clearly the respective kuleana we have, that we as the Board of Trustees are called to govern at the policy level, to address how our constitutional and kingdom mandate are to be translated into transforming the Hawaii of the future and all Native Hawaiians across the world. We are called to govern. Our trusted administration, CEO, and employees are called to manage the work. And when we respect our respective roles, we empower and serve each other. I will support today's action in order to rescind the June 1st, 2023 directive of the board so that we can empower and support our CEO to carry out the managerial leadership that will inspire and lift up all of our workers here as you work toward the betterment of the Native Hawaiian people. Mahalo to all of you, and to my fellow colleagues, mahalo.
Thank you, Trustee Aquino. Trustee Alapa?
Well said, Trustee Akina. You always speak our mind, and thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Very meaningful. But this is a side question regarding the telework. So aside from the potential savings our potential employees who are going to take on the telework opportunity, obviously we're going to be save money in their gas, transportation, all of that stuff, parking fees, perhaps office supplies that they use, whatever it may be. But what would be the potential cost savings to OHA? Do we have a number yet, or we haven't arrived at that? No. Okay.
Can I answer partially that question? Just provide something for our trustees to consider. We have approximately how many total OHA staff right now, Stacy?
I would say-
Statewide?
About 125.
About
130,
125-ish
Yeah.
total OHA FTE staff work every day, statewide. Here on Oahu, there's approximately 107 that drive in every day to the Nalama Kukui OHA offices. We don't have parking for all 107 employees. Here on this complex, we have 75 parking stalls because we share the other parking stalls with our tenants. So 32 individuals park at the Dole Cannery parking garage. Those 32 stalls cost us $8,000 a month, or $96,000 a year. Not to mention the shuttle that has to go back and forth to pick them up, the potential safety issues, and the security to ensure that they're can go back and forth safely. The opportunity, if this plan was implemented, with the work of HR and IT and looking at how we would manage the people that would come in versus those who are teleworking at home, I believe would allow us to end the 32 stalls that we contracted at Dole Cannery and save instantly $96,000 a year that we could provide to scholarships, sponsorships, the grants for our lahui. So I know of that cost savings immediately, Trustee Alapa. I don't know if the administration has any other additional cost savings, but I want to thank Allison for bringing it up when she came up to the table, because this is something that Allison and Chase and Leanne Gentry have brought to my attention in the conversations that I've had with them over the last few months. Anything else to add to that? Okay.
Nope.
Trustees.
Chair, real quick, I just wanted to mention something because we are all state workers too, and I've said this before in the past. You know, as a teacher, I've never had to pay for parking when I was a teacher at a school or anywhere. So I just was just thinking too, like, I mean, it's despite all these expenses going on and trying to give them a raise and everything. I mean, do we have to charge for parking? I mean, is that something that we have to consider, or I'm just asking a question. Thank you.
Stacey.
Aloha, trustee. When the return to office was instituted, I did waive parking fees, so nobody pays for parking.
Trustees, any further discussion? Trustee Akaka?
Mahalo. Maybe from a technical standpoint, but before that, I want to mahalo everyone for testifying and the years of work on this and consideration, the mindfulness. Perhaps this might fall under remote work site. I think some of this is common sense, but sometimes it needs to be written in as a reminder. But when we're on camera, oftentimes when we're meeting internally or with an external person, I think it's important for us to have written in there that we maintain a professional and culturally sensitive and appropriate background. And I think that falls in line as well with what Trustee Galatareo's was talking about regarding culture and how does that apply to all of this. So I think that's sometimes something to be mindful about in terms of what you have in the background and how that might affect the work that we're doing or how you're representing the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Oh, yes. Trustee Hulu Lindsay is saying you have to turn on your camera first. So of course that's part of it. But when your camera is on, I think that's appropriate, as well as your attire, your dress, that is also culturally appropriate, culturally sensitive, and professional, as well as you are representing the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. And moreover, I wanted to say that in this document and what I'm hearing in testimony is in alignment with some of my personal beliefs, and it falls under this simple value of productivity. And it's finding how productivity can be blended with flexibility and working with the times that we are in. And I truly believe that many of the roles that we take on are oftentimes not limited to, like what was shared by Trustee Ahuna. It is not limited to the many walls of physical location at times. I know for myself, if ever questioned, why are you not in the office every single day? It's because my kuleana calls me outside of the office space. That means meeting within the community. It means meeting with government officials. It means advocacy. And oftentimes it's not limited to the hours that are what are considered traditional Western working hours. Sometimes it's the early early hours of the morning. Sometimes it goes into the late evening, sometimes into the next day. I know for myself, I can say that. I know in the public policy work that we do, there's a lot of unsung heroes that we're typing out, we're reviewing, we are adjusting as we need to, and we're doing that as a team. Sometimes we have to do things individually, but it's a collaborative effort, and it requires a lot of time. The layers of mana'o that are shared and put into consideration when we're creating these official documents. So I wanted to share that as well because, and I've said this before to our former administrators, our current one, this work is oftentimes 24/7. It's an on-call position at times. And when that kahea is there, we have to answer it. So I think that falls in line with also part of our understanding of the kaumaha that we carry. But I've said this through the years, and I truly believe it, that a lot of times this is hard work that we take on, but there also needs to be joy in what we do. There needs to be joy. We need to find times of celebration as well to balance out this kaumaha that we carry. Mahalo.
One question, in terms of implementation, of course, if the board permanently passes this on first reading, it will go through the 29th board agenda. And in terms of finalizing the document, the plan, the implementation, what would be the forecasting? Looking at the new fiscal
Because you're just
year.
going to tweak. Just listening to Kehao's and Summer's recap. So there are going to be a few tweaks that are going to need to happen. And there's going to be some training that's going to need to be required, dissemination of documentation, and just to ensure that we're all aligned before we say go. But we are looking at July 1st.
Okay, excellent.
Oh, one other thing.
Sure.
Mahalo. I think some of the concern through the years is accessibility to various members of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs if that kahea is out there and if we're unable to reach time and time again. So maybe if there is like a semi-formal or formal proposed way, a method, so that we can address if there's something that needs immediate response, or there's just like a long ongoing inability to reach somebody in a timely manner. And I'm going to use as an example these meetings that we're in. If we have these meetings and there's certain things on the agenda that we might need to refer or defer to somebody in a certain position that can answer that question, or to that whatever mana'o that is being shared, and speak on that. I think that those positions, those paya, whomever it is, that they be made available, whether it's virtually or in person, so that we as trustees, we as an OHA organization are able to fulfill our fiduciary kuleana and reach the decisions that we need to at that time. Mahalo.
Yeah, thanks. Trustee Akaka. I just had a final thought, I guess, before recognizing the vice chair. You know, I took many notes from different staff and their testimonies today. A couple of things stood out. Forward thinking. This is a strategic tool. Allows for the advancement and opens up positions statewide. It directly addresses our recruitment ability and our ability to retain employees. And so it will, I really believe, help us to address the vacancy rates that we've been dealing with here at OHA. We hope to achieve 152 fully filled positions by the end of fiscal year 2027, and the board wants to see that. And I think this is another strategic tool in our OHANA toolbox to achieve that. So let's recognize Vice Chair Souza.
Hey, mahalo, Chair, and mahalo to everyone in the room. I'm sorry I had to run out. So you guys saw me run out. Trying to set the example for telework right now, especially to emphasize what Keone had said earlier about the trustees online. But I'm actually heading to St. Louis. My son has an orchestra performance, and I'm trying to drive safely with my seatbelt on and getting to my destination. We're trying to give you guys my undivided attention as well. So anyway, what I want to say is I fully support telework. And yes, to Trustee Aquino's point, we did review this a couple of years ago when the trustees made the return to work policy. At that time, we wanted the opportunity to review and take the time to have everyone come back. And for me personally, I wanted to see everyone. I was new back then to this organization. I wanted to see everyone in person. And that was the decision that I supported at that time. But now I fully support this telework policy. I just want to say something. This work doesn't change. The work of our organization does not change. What like Kalihanis mentioned earlier, it's to see the trust. And I trust our employees. I trust our employees that they will continue to do the work and they will continue to get it done in a more timely manner. I see it happening in more of a timely manner for our beneficiaries, which is the ultimate goal. So, mahalo, Mr. Chair, mahalo, members, thank you.
Mahalo, Vice Chair. Trustees, we have any other discussion? All right, then the chair is going to move to table discussion and to move trustees to pass action item Board of Trustees number 2508, approval of a telework policy for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. A reminder, trustees, this is first reading. It requires a simple majority for passage, and if it does pass, we will put it on the May 29th agenda for second reading and final passage. Roll call vote.
Trustee Ahuna,
Aye.
Trustee Akaka,
Aye.
Trustee Akina,
Aye.
Trustee Alapa,
Yes.
Trustee Galuteria,
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay, Trustee Souza,
Aye.
Trustee Waihe'e,
Yes.
Chair Kahele,
Aye.
and Trustee Lindsay. Okay, we have 1 abstention and 8 yes votes.
The motion passes. Congratulations. Thank you for all our OHA staff who came today. This is probably one of, to echo Trustee Aquina, I've only been here a few months, but may possibly be the most amazing Board of Trustee meeting I've ever had a chance to preside over. And I hope we can have more of these. So thank you so much for answering the kahea and having the courage and the strength to come in front of the board and testify. It made a big difference. So mahalo, mahalo nui loa. Okay, we are going to move on to item number 3. We have community concerns and finally celebrations before we do announcements. So let's do community concerns first, and then we'll do announcements before celebrations and then adjournment. So do we have anyone signed up for community concerns?
Our first speaker is Jermaine Myers.
Aloha, Jermaine.
Aloha, Chair. Did you call my name?
Yes, we did, Jermaine. You're recognized for 5 minutes for community concerns.
Okay, mahalo. Aloha, Chair Kahele, Vice Chair Souza, and honorable trustees. My name is Jermaine Myers. Mahalo for the opportunity to testify on community concerns. Neighborhood board meetings. Mahalo, Chair Kahele, for encouraging and highly supporting OHA's participation and engagement with our lahui, but specifically engaging with our Native Hawaiians that have been elected by their community to serve on our neighborhood boards on Oahu. As I've shared before, I'm a board member of the Nanakuli Maili Neighborhood Board. Our board consists of 9 members, of which 8 are lessees and beneficiaries of Hawaiian homestead lands in Nanakuli. Mahalo to Oahu Island Trustee Kale Akaka and your staff for diligently attending our neighborhood board meetings on Oahu in the past month. I saw Trustee Akaka, her staff, and OHA administration staff on the posted videos for Waianae Coast and Waimanalo Neighborhood Board. Mahalo to administration staff for the work you do that affects our lahui and that are presented to the neighborhood boards for review. Mahalo for the opportunities and resources highlighted for the lahui and their ohana. I look forward to OHA engaging with our Nanakuli Maili Neighborhood Board this coming Tuesday. And I acknowledge my peers, my fellow board members that continually commit to do work for the Lahui with no compensation. Military training facilities, mahalo to OHA for your diligence with submitting testimony for OHA regarding the final EIS on the Pohakuloa training area. I heard your dialogue yesterday during the BAE committee meeting. I look forward to OHA engaging with and organizing the Lahui in regards to the upcoming military sites coming up for lease renewal. As we all know, the military has contaminated our ground drinking water at Red Hill with petroleum diesel fuel. The military has not sufficiently invested time and funds into cleaning up Kaho'olawe. Living on Oahu, I focus on Oahu's resources. So I was surprised to learn that Pohakuloa training area is located in between Mauna Loa, Mauna Kea, and the Hualalai mountain ranges. But especially within conservation lands like Vaukele o Puna. The military have shown us that they care less about our vai and aina, our drinking water and land, when it intersects with their warfare practices. We all need water and land to live as humans. Pay raises. As you know, I've supported OHA trustee raises with the Salary Commission. I want to make myself clear. Likewise, I support OHA staff salary increases as I testified. My testimony earlier is asking for OHA to review the tapered salary increases on page 4. I also feel years of service should also be compensated. Those with institutional knowledge about OHA's policies, processes, procedures, and how it intersects with our Lahui's history should be valued. I heard testimony and dialogue on time off for Ohana and telework. As to providing more time off to meet the needs of Ohana, I'd like to highlight that the state and OHA have already adopted FMLA and HFLL to assist employees that need to take time off to care for their Ohana with serious health conditions, a total of 12 weeks or 3 months. It also allows employees, both women and men, to take time off to care for their newborn child, both from a new birth or newly adopted child. Any time off needs beyond caring for Ohana with a serious health condition or to take care of a new child are covered by the paid time off benefits that all state employees receive: 21 days vacation and 21 days sick leave, 13 paid holidays, 14 during an election year, death and family time off, etc. Combining all time off together equals to almost 6 months of work time off, 3 months paid and 3 months unpaid, but job and medical benefits secured. Many in the Lahui that work for private companies and nonprofits do not have these time off benefits and do not have telework benefits. In addition to that, I just again like to highlight that many in our community advocate for the Lahui with no compensation. Kea kua pu, God bless all of you.
And then Anakala, you go be after. Make sure he knows. Welcome.
Well, hi guys. I'm glad I put my testimony today in community concerns. When I saw that the employees were going to be given allowed to speak and speak freely, I realized that their energy was going to be more captivating, and I didn't want to anyway diminish that, and I wanted to make sure that was kept in its own light and whatnot. I'm very proud to actually, having been engaged with OHA since 1999, actually to see that. I know from some of the long-term guys here, you guys lived under micromanagement under the other staff members, the other superiors, and that was a bunch of bullshit. But you guys couldn't say anything because it is what it is. So as a beneficiary, I had to see that happen, and I was never really happy about that.
Kelly, please refrain from using any
Profanity.
beyond profanity, please.
Oh, BS. Okay, I'm sorry. Other than that, the rest of the meeting was like Trustee Aquina said, and that's actually good because it narrows down most of my testimony. The magic that really happened really here today was the openness and whatnot. So the rest of my testimony is just real quick, is what the administration said in her final statement before we closed that last item, was that the sins of the past that has affected this office still weigh heavily within the Hawaiian community. My phone's been blowing up right now as I sit there because people still think somehow I'm either an employee here or I'm a trustee. And they want to know what the hell is going on. What's going to happen? Because there's a little magic, a buzz that's going on right now in social media world. Like, what are they talking about? This and that. And you have Joe Blow on one side going, oh, you know, they're going for raises, that, you know, these guys. And then you have the other people going, no, they're trying to attract the best means possible to get this office running in a manner that's consistent. Other than there's still this gray area of like, what is exactly though happening? I think if you guys were to really embrace the magic that was here, you would. When was the last? I guess I posted in a question. When was the last time there was an open house here? And I mean open. I remember coming to one. Maybe it was the inception of the opening of these offices in general. But if you had an open house and had, say, a job fair at the same time, you could bring in, you know, attract the people, and to see that the people at the top administration, national level, the cuts that are being made is unfortunate and it's a tragedy. But it also may all present an opportunity. The talent at that level that's being eliminated might also be a chance now to steal and bring them here, especially at the Hawaii level. But they need to rest assured that there is what I just saw transpired here at this meeting, that there's a new outlook. There is a new OHA. You know, the last financial audit, the damning, scathing audit that still affects here, that some people are still, you know, rattled and still talking about today, that isn't happening anymore, right, and whatnot. So you guys, I think if you opened up yourselves even more and brought the lahui that everybody always talks about, whether what side of the fence you're on, to get them in here and have that discussion and see face to face who you're talking with. Have a board meeting, but not have a board meeting. Have a community meeting in general, where people can tour these offices. They can see what possibly life might be working here and in servitude, and see what type of jobs are available. No offense, I've been to your guys' website, I've seen the job listings. I can't make hide or hands note of what some of your positions are, except for the qualifications, master's degree, 4 years degree, and so forth. You know, I'm looking for, like, where's the guy, the facilities manager? That's my kind of thing. And I finally see it, but it's buried in so much legal jargon that it's like, it's hard to make sense of what you guys are looking for, you know? So that's what you guys need to do. Simplification, but at the same time, in the Hawaiian manner, what you guys are reiterating here. There's been so much talking points from everybody here about the same thing. I think you guys have got it. Yeah, at least here, that's that magic that I was talking about earlier. You guys have got it. You just have to implement it now. And the way to do that is bring our people back in here and let them see firsthand, what would it be like working here? Let me see the job that I'm talking about, and then also what could I possibly even offer, or maybe volunteer or give in general or whatnot. This isn't a place of negativity or damaged goods anymore. You know, this is a place of now hope and inspiration, and they need to see that. And when you bring that to this table, you'll also start to kill the guys that are still out there going, OHA, you know, never mind, they're all da 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 and stuff like that. So I hope you guys embrace that and
Mahalo, Kelly. Okay. Please come up. Yeah. Tom, you guys gonna be together? Okay, great. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And I call my for the earlier.
Mahalo.
This is your
yeah,
time now.
Thank you.
So thanks for joining
Until we
us.
settle both and you like come on. You can come. This is very important because this is Shoshana. You present yourself in the mic.
And you're recognized for 5 minutes. Mahalo.
Yeah.
No, you can. Go ahead. Come up.
Aloha Chair, Aloha Board, Aloha Trustees and Beneficiaries. I'm here on special appearance by invitation by Matthew Marshall, Kaho Opi'i. I'm in a to serve, and I'm here to listen and to learn and to do the best that I can to help this beautiful nation of Hawaii. So thank you for having us here today. It's truly an honor and a pleasure and a blessing. God bless you all.
Mahalo board, thank you very much. Kalamai, when I came in, I thought we just was gonna close was the last, but I know you have to vote, but thank you very much. I am in full support in OHA what you do. This is very important of researching and knowledge. In 1900, Stanford Dole, the Minister of Interior for the state of Hawaii, and the United States shall pay $11,000 a month just for the use of the land. And this is very important and not exceed $4,000. Times that by 12 and times that by 147 years. Yeah? Why you guys not having the right pay to get what you guys deserve? Kanaka maole, makaaina na. You are the beneficiaries. We have very important people. We have the state of Hawaii, and it never was lost, our kingdom. It's still here. I fully support with knowledge and wisdom. We have a lot of land that is surrounded by you in the 1848. It's still under the kingdom. They're using, but why are you not collecting the leases? The ransom, the banks, the ransom, 1846, UPU, the first bank that all these banks can operate in Hawaii. That's you guys, Kuleana. That's for the Kanaka. The telecom is very important of communication, long distance. I had a meeting, very important meeting, 2 months before the strike on Lahaina, the fire with Hawaiian Electric. And I took 4,000 acres up in Mauna Kea Mountain, altogether on the Big Island, 15,000 acres. It's not for me, it's for Kanaka, Kanaka Maole, Makaaina na. But I reserved those lands for they to go back on the land and their rights at 50 cents per acre. This is very important. Knowledge and the documents was made for the king and for everyone to work with the Democrats and the Republican. This is our Ohana, this is our country. Yeah, but we choose to pay taxes to another state or another government. We quietly relinquish our rights by paying taxes to another government. But if you're unemployed, you still have your kuleana. You still can come back. Yeah, but be patient and respect everybody. They are the chosen one, not by us, but by the Creator. Kia kua. Yeah, and that's why we have our brother right here, born and raised in Kohala, the Bottle family. Thank you very much for his kuleana. We respect everyone. Please don't judge them by their skin. The blood is red. We want blood, one nation. You want to say something, Tom? UXO?
Or something even better, to raise a beloved nation, raise our flag of our nation. I think that'll satisfy every issue that is set forth right now. Raise our flag and we'll be free. Please consider that as a most cherished understanding of who we are as Hawaiians in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. One family, one ohana, we the best. Have a good one. Thank you so much.
Mahalo board. Thank you for the opportunity.
Mahalo. Um, it was mentioned earlier in testimony under community concerns, which I appreciate, regarding the attendance of the neighborhood board meetings. And I wanted to share, last night we attended the, well, myself, as well as my team member Mark Watanabe and a Michelle McCoy under our public policy group. We attended the Kahaluu neighborhood board meeting. And tonight there will be the attendance to the Kaneohe neighborhood board meeting, as well as the Makiki Tantalus neighborhood board meeting. So given that we have two different meetings, there's going to be a member from administration on one meeting and a member of administration to the next. I think tonight it would be Hailama and Elena. So how we're approaching this is we're trying to have various members of administration, hopefully close to where they live, but that's not always the case, but be able to speak at these various meetings. But just to kind of touch on what was mentioned also in testimony and what I had mentioned yesterday, last week we had attended and spoke at the Waianae Coast neighborhood board meeting. Kehau Pu'u was in attendance as well to speak. And then we had the Kuli'o'o Kalani Iki meeting, which was the member from administration was Bill Brennan. And then we had the Ko'olauloa meeting as well. And then the Waimanalo neighborhood board meeting, which serving as a vice chair on that is our member of our administration, Kuike. And I also want to touch on the fact that last night the chair of that meeting is a member of our administration, Parker Spencer. So it's nice to see familiar faces at these meetings. And what I can tell you is there's a lot of thankfulness in our participation in there and the interest in having a regular mainstay, a spot for us to be able to provide announcements and so forth. But I'm also trying to look at this from a realistic standpoint and a sustainable standpoint in terms of whether it's in person or virtually. I know for myself to go to these meetings multiple times through the week, through the month, it can be rather it's a lot. It's a lot for myself and for my team. And I have Mark Watanabe with me, who's been by my side with every single meeting. So mahalo you, Mark, for that. And in some of the mana'o that is shared by the community, some of it is kind of heavy, but they appreciate the time that we have to interact with each other. But I think that's something that we can schedule for a future BAE meeting to do a further review and have members of administration that have been participating in these meetings to share in what we are sharing and some of the feedback that we've been receiving, and as well as the pamphlets and so forth and coloring books for the keiki. That's very well received as well. Mahalo.
Hawaiian Affairs, and have given their heart and soul to this organization. I truly believe that if you come to an organization with the intent of servant leadership to leave it in a better way than you found it, it's gonna pave the way for our lahui and this OHA for generations to come. And I truly believe that Nichi Ozawa, in her time here at the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, has done exactly that. And so at this time, we'd like to end by calling Nichi up to the board table. Michi, on behalf of the Board of Trustees of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, we want to recognize your years of service to OHA. First beginning as legal counsel, then transitioning to a temporary assignment as interim procurement manager, and finally as the interim senior legal counsel. Your unwavering commitment to OHA's nu'ukia, the ho'olu lahui aloha, has made a lasting impact, particularly in your work supporting our procurement and grants program as keeper of the minutes and as legal support for our staff across the agency, exemplifying what it means to serve the lahui. So on behalf of the Board of Trustees, we honor, and all of OHA, we honor and applaud your contributions in uplifting and supporting our lahui. We mahalo you for embodying and upholding our core values of kako, of aloha, of pono, of kulia, and ho'omau, for your pursuit of excellence and for truly representing what it means to be a part of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs Ohana, and we wish you well. Holo ia ka makaloala, ua ike aloha, uka ia ka haloala, hanehi mai na lehua, mai ka ho'oku i ka hana waila, mahalo e ke ahua, mahalo e na kunala ea, mahalo me ke alohana, mahalo me ke alohana, mahalo. And maybe trustees, we can gather in the atrium and take a final picture with absolutely, with Nishi. Nishi, would you like to say a few words?
Just to impart what I thought I could to advocate for the staff that remains and also to advocate for the future of this agency and the mission. So I think all that's left to say is mahalo from the bottom of my heart. I truly appreciate this. I'm so moved by this and didn't expect it at all. So thank you. And my time here has meant everything to me. So I hope to stay in touch and mahalo.
Mahalo. Trustees, can we get a motion to adjourn? Seconded. So seconded by and moved by Chair Emerita Lindsay, seconded by Trustee Alapa. We get a roll call vote.
Trustee Ahuna. Trustee Akaka. Trustee Akina. Trustee Alapa. Trustee Galuteria. Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Souza. Trustee Waihe'e. Chair Kahele.
Aye.
We have 6 yes votes. We are adjourned.